The Browns, they're putrid. They're the worst team in the NFL.
The 2024 season is over.
Lamar Jackson can't win the playoffs. He'll win a third MVP, though, so that's great.
Drew Sample is the most important piece of the Bengals offense next year.
Go Joe Burrow. He deserves to be MVP. I wish he was the Browns quarterback. Kind of mean that.
If you're looking for the most reactionary, silly, and unserious show on the internet, then you're home. Live from Hamilton, Ohio, it's Off the Bench by Chatterbox Sports on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Welcome on in.
What a day.
It's a great day outside. It feels good. This is a sports show. This is a sports show
There are sports teams in the city.
based on the sports in Cincinnati. And there are teams that play here. And those teams underperform consistently.
Yeah.
This is Off the Bench, Chatterbox Sports, live in Hamilton, Ohio. Welcome on in, ESPN 1410 listeners. Thank you very much. I said that I'd end the season if they lost this series. This season would be over. The 2025 season would be over. It's over. It's done. I reached a point last night watching that game where I was just dead inside.
Yeah.
Dead inside. I had nothing left. I had nothing left to give. I turned it off. I had no interest in watching how that game ended. Yes, Casey.
Can you redo that so I can have a better soundbite for the new intro?
Yeah, that's good. That's good. The 2025 season is over.
Perfect.
Clean and crisp.
Tough. You guys were there last night for Pete Rose night. I heard it was absolutely crazy getting in to the game.
Yeah,
How long were your wait times? Ooh. I had a buddy last night that took 90 minutes.
Wow.
90 minutes.
I don't think we were quite that long. We did go in for, Marty and George Foster and all theirs pregame situation, so maybe that helped me beat some of the traffic, but we were still in line for easily over half an hour waiting to get in there. We get up to around the corner to Gapper's Alley, going in on that side gate there, and then of the 4 gates, one was an exit, one was closed, and 2 are open.
Yeah.
So that was fun. Didn't even get a glimpse of the main gate in front. Those lines were all the way past the statues to the street. So, those have to funnel into those 3 walkways. Wasn't going to try my hand there. And then if you wanted to walk towards the banks, good luck. So we had to go around the other side of the stadium. And it is what it is. Once you got in there, I could probably count on one hand the amount of times I've seen that many people in Great American Ballpark not on opening day.
Yeah.
So even though the team stinks, it was kind of cool.
Atmosphere was cool.
For a while.
Yeah, for like the first 3 innings.
For a
or 4
while,
innings.
once you get to 2-0, 3-0, and it starts to settle in that they've scored more than 1 run, which means the Reds won't win this game.
Yeah,
you could feel it kind of drop a little bit in the stadium.
Yeah, Casey, you had a little bit of a different experience there. First time at the Reds game this season. How did your family enjoy the trip?
Yeah, so speaking of waiting in lines and things of that nature, Alex and I went separate. We met the family there, and we got in the building late. I think we didn't get in our seats until like the end of the first inning, I think.
Yeah.
So it was just hectic. I mean, there was a line wrapped around the banks. Starting over I don't know, the stairs that you go up to get from the garage over in that area, all the way around into the gates. So, it was just a huge line. And then on top of that, it was a quick game too. So we got to our seats, and wife and I haven't had dinner yet. So I leave to go get her some food. She really loves nachos, which are on the opposite side of the stadium. So I walk all the way to the opposite side of the stadium, get her some nachos I brought, and get back to my seat, and it's the 3rd inning. So I hardly got to watch any of the beginning of this game. And by the time I sit down, the score is like, what, 2-0? 3-0?
It's over.
That's a blowout.
It's over.
Yeah, it was over. It was over before I even got to really watch. But, it was not good. I can usually feel the pulse of the fans through my family and family friends there. And, they were really trying for the whole game to be as positive as they can be, all the way up through the eighth inning, bottom of the eighth, right? I mean, they were basically saying, like, if you're booing, you shouldn't be buying tickets. You should just leave. By the end of the night, it's not worth buying tickets for this team. So it's just really tough to see fans that are trying to be so positive about this team just lose faith. And it's so hard to see and watch them play the way that they're playing right now, because it's just so lifeless. It's so just non-passionate. It's just awful.
The ceremonies had Marty speaking. Anybody else of note speak?
Barry Larkin, George Foster, Eric Davis were
Okay.
all sitting on the stage. They had a lot of Pete's family there, and then some other players were sitting down. But those were the three that were kind of on the stage and easy to see. But there were a lot of people down there to speak. I know his grandkids and kids came up and said a piece, and it was really, really cool. And they had good video tributes, and all the graphics were 14 Forever and themed and things along those lines. I thought they did a really good job with the presentation for the game.
Did they discuss that he was reinstated at all, or
At the
was that
end.
avoided? And they were trying, because I saw the clip of Marty on the broadcast,
Yes.
and he was, do you want me to go there? When Jim Day asked him about not being able to be here for that reinstatement. And clearly, Marty is not a big Rob Manfred guy, and
Right.
he said as much. But I was wondering how they would handle that, if anybody would say, if there would be any outward grudges being displayed.
Not too much.
Okay.
From what I saw, they more brushed over it and spent the night, I think, as they planned to before Manfred did that yesterday. As,
Okay.
Truly a remembrance and all that stuff. Walking out, I didn't see it on the way in. As I said, it was so crowded in those main gates, but all the roses around the statue, the big 14, sign that they had made. It was really, really cool. Long line taking pictures in front of it. So it's crazy to think, 40,000 people in that stadium yesterday for Pete Rose. I would venture to say 30,000 of them never saw him play.
Yeah.
And it just makes you think, what would this city do for a team that was relatively competitive? You give this fan base any reason to go to the ballpark, and they'll be there in full force and give you one of the better atmospheres in baseball until you don't score a run for the entire game. So if you put a competitive team on the field, last night was just another, point in the bucket in my mind of this city wants a good baseball team, and they'll reward you if you put it on the field.
They're trying. I mean, not the Reds per se. I mean, it's the guys that we have out here. I think they know how much baseball means.
Yeah.
To Cincinnati, it's just not enough. I mean, Casey said it, lifeless. There was outwardly no fight yesterday. There was no fight. Spencer Steer hit a home run, and that's all good and well. But there's just nothing left, And we'll get into the Reds here in a minute. But before that, before we get over to the Reds, we will start with Elliot's headlines. Starring me.
Score updates,
Elliot.
breaking news, local and national headlines. Whatever's going on in the world of sports, Elliot has you covered. Off the Bench brings you Elliot's headlines.
That's right. The Reds lose 4-2. Ooh. They dropped to 20-24. Nick Lodolo went 5 1/3 innings, allowing 3 earned runs. By the way, if a starting pitcher allows 3 earned runs for the Reds, Jacob said it, it's over.
Oh, yeah.
It's over.
Oh, yeah.
I've seen this.
Unless it's once every 10 days where they score 25.
Correct. They do that. I've seen the stat, how many games they've scored one or zero, one or less runs. It's like 12 of 42 or something.
They've lost 11 of their last 15 and scored 1 or less in 9 of those 11 losses.
That's tough. But I wonder how many innings they've trailed 1-0. Or how many innings in a game that they've been scoreless. Because last night it was like, I knew they were going to lose.
100%.
But it's just like 5 innings. We're still not scoring runs. Not one. Oh, God, it's terrible. Here's a fun stat. The Reds hit 5 doubles.
Woo!
They hit 5 doubles, Casey.
They score off of any of those?
Yeah, 1. They scored off 1 of the doubles.
Trey said it last night. I think it was his Twitter rant video, or maybe it was Chatterbox Red's clip. They all kind of run together, the same voice on X, the Everything app. But he said that you'd think at some point, even if the Reds aren't good, they would just kind of back into scoring one of those doubles.
Yeah.
And then you sack fly, get into the third, a ground ball. Guy kind of bobbles it a little bit. He scored. We don't even get lucky.
No. No, if there's a guy on second, it's an immediate ground out to the shortstop.
Correct.
Or a strikeout. Like we don't advance runners. Series finale today, 12:40. Enjoy it. Nick Martinez takes on Bryce Wilson. Bryce Wilson has a 4.88 ERA. That does not matter when you play the Reds. You just have a 0 ERA when you play the Reds. So good for Bryce Wilson. You want to do a score? Let's do a score prediction right now early. I almost got it last night with my 1-0 White Sox. Casey, what's the score this afternoon at 12:40?
I'm going to say the Reds are scoreless, and the White Sox are going to score 3.
I'm going to say the Reds are scoreless. I like that take. And I'm going to say the White Sox score 1.
The Reds are minus 230 today. So
as they've been this entire season.
After the last 2 games of losing as the biggest favorite of the year, yeah, I mean, I think they're going to lose today.
Good stuff here in Cincinnati. What month is it? It's May 15th.
Look on the bright side. We're going to get our summer.
Yeah, that's
We're not going to have to worry about this
That's
team
true.
in June or July.
That's true. Dodgers, they crushed the Athletics 9-3. Shohei Ohtani hits another home run. Angels, they lose to the Padres 5-1. The Royals, they fall to the Astros 4-3 after a quick 2-0 lead. Rockies, they lose another game. One of the Reds' big wins this year. They are 7-36.
Actually, 3 of the Reds' big wins this year.
3 of the Reds' big wins this year came against the 7-36 Colorado Rockies. I heard Nick Kirby's take and Trace's take last night when I was watching Chatterbox Reds about the Reds. You shouldn't expect them to sweep. I expect you to sweep the White Sox and the Rockies. I expect it. You're minus 300 every game.
Yeah, at least win the series.
You should be in a pretty damn good position to sweep
And if you
the
don't
White
sweep,
Sox and the Rockies.
If you don't sweep, it should be losing game 3
Correct.
after winning game 1 and game 2. Maybe you have,
Correct.
a tired bullpen or something along those lines. But yeah, to lose the first 2 games of the series to the White Sox, and then it's I don't know what else you can say.
The Cubs, they lost to the Marlins 3-1. Braves, they lose to the Nationals 5-4. Pirates, they shut out the Mets 4-0. Blue Jays, they win 3-1. Tigers beat the Red Sox 6-5. The Cardinals, they win 14-7. The Cardinals had 19 hits, and they have won 10 of their last 11 games. How about that? They beat the Phillies 14-7. The Yankees, they win 3-2 over the Mariners. Aaron Judge hits his 15th home run of the year. That leads all of Major League Baseball.
This stretch for Aaron Judge, it's getting to a point where it's got to be one of the best 2 or 3 year stretches of all time.
Yeah, I would say so.
I mean, I know last year obviously he kind of flamed out in the playoffs a little bit, mostly defensively, but still wasn't the best from what you expect from Aaron Judge. But if he can add a ring to his career at any point, I mean, he's going to go down as truly one of the all-time greats.
Yeah, I feel like the playoff thing, because that's what everybody said about Joey Votto, and very limited at bats in the playoffs. Joey Votto didn't, play great. If you're going to be so dominant during the regular season, as dominant as Joey Votto was, as dominant as Aaron Judge is, your playoff stats, your playoff numbers are not weighed as much in my eyes.
He did forget how to catch
the
fly ball.
He did. Continuing on here, you have the Twins. They beat the Orioles 8-6 and 6-5 yesterday in a doubleheader. The Orioles now drop to 15-26. One of also 2 of the Reds' big wins this year, 15-26 against the Orioles are. The NBA, the Warriors, they lose the series in 5, 121-110 the final score last night. The Timberwolves, they reach their 2nd straight Western Conference Finals. Randall, 29 points. Edwards had 22. The Celtics, they continue that series, a 25-point win over the Knicks without Jason Tatum. Knicks lead 3-2 in the series as they head back to New York, I believe. Derek White scored 34 points to lead the way for the Boston Celtics.
Your guy.
Here's the thing. When the number 1 superstar goes down, the real superstar steps up.
That's right.
And that's Derek White.
That's right.
People are going to remember this postseason as the Derek White, almost got it, the Derek White championship run. He's going to be the face of the DVD. I love Derek White.
He's the reverse Samson.
I love him.
You know Samson from the Bible? He
Yes.
grows out his hair and he gets strength.
Yeah.
Derek White was like a fine role player.
Yeah.
In San Antonio.
And then he
got rid of that
got rid of it.
terrible balding
It's a bad
haircut.
haircut.
And now he's an all-star.
Yeah, he's unbelievable.
Played over Jason Tatum and Team USA. People forget.
I mean, people do forget. NHL, the Oilers, they win the series over the Golden Knights, 1-0 in overtime. And the Panthers, that game last night, 1-0 in overtime. The Panthers, they lead the series against Toronto 3-2 with a 6-1 dominant victory last night as well. Heading over to the MLS, FCC, Casey, the orange and blue.
That's right.
They win 1-0 over Toronto FC. You were at the Reds game. You couldn't watch it. But another win for old FC Cincinnati. I think they still lead the table, no?
Yes, they're still number one. And on top of that, I don't know if you've got this news or not because it was released 16 minutes ago.
Probably not.
But Mbubudo also was extended. He was one of our defenders, one of our better players, and a vital piece of this team. So congratulations to Mbubudo for being extended.
There we go. Bring that supporter shield back home.
That's right. That's right.
The banner/trophy case that we never got a straight answer on for where the supporter shield goes. We need another one.
I love
there's definitely a trophy case.
Well, but we needed. My question was, can I pay respects to the banner? And I didn't get a straight answer.
I don't think there's a
I want to pay
banner.
my respects. Is that too much to ask?
Can we pay
Go-
our
go to the
respects or
trophy
not?
case.
It's
Go
the
to
only
the trophy
championship
case.
I've ever had in my city.
Go to the trophy case.
Is that public?
And the Todd Frazier home run derby.
Yeah, that's right. Todd Frazier home run derby, MLS supporter shield.
Yeah.
That's a Cincinnati sports fan.
Boom.
I do have one small complaint. I'm looking at
Sure.
FC's Twitter. We still have 2023 Supporter Shield winners. Like, maybe we can.
Well, that
do
banners fly forever.
You don't take that away.
I mean, do other teams do this? Do other teams celebrate their?
I think
their,
every team that's ever won a Super Bowl has all the years that they won a Super Bowl in there.
Oh, do they? I wouldn't know because.
Correct. I know colleges do all the years that they've won championships.
Don't feel bad about that. We're bragging about our championship.
See, it does probably look weird until you win a second one.
Yeah.
Like if it was 2023, 2025.
Then it would make more sense.
Then it would make more
okay.
sense.
Okay. I see. Well, 2025, here we come.
There we go.
PGA Championship is underway as well. Donald, Fox, Fleetwood, Fitzpatrick all lead the field at 3 under par unless something had changed in the last 20 minutes. But those were the leaders when I typed this out initially. The PGA Championship. I saw a lot of complaints about the PGA Championship.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess the course is playing easy. It's not like a competitive course at Quail Hollow this year. So I don't know. I guess the players are disappointed. But I don't know. I kind of like low scores. So either way, I mean, I cheer for the course. Don't get me wrong. I love a course that makes everybody shoot +7. But at the same time, like I do think it's also fun to watch guys just shoot -40. If everybody has a chance to like be in it at the end, that's kind of what I want as well.
Valhalla last year was disgusting.
Yeah, it was.
That was disgusting.
I mean, it was.
What was Sunday? It was like 25 versus 27 under.
Yeah.
That was terrible.
Yeah, I guess. All right. Well, those are your headlines. Now it's time to talk about the Reds. The 2025 season has come to an end. It's over. There's no more baseball left to be played. We tried. We gave it our all, kind of, and now it's done. The Reds lose to the White Sox. They've won one series since April 21st, and it was to the 7-37 Colorado Rockies. It's over. ESPN 1410, Wing AM, Chatterbox Sports, off the bench. They did it. They did it. They took me out of the season in May. Same way they did it last
I was
year.
going to say back-to-back years.
I am so disappointed and so frustrated and annoyed at what's gone on here because it shouldn't be this way. I mean, it shouldn't be remotely close to this bad. We have to believe in the young core. So when I go on this rant here, I'm not gonna blame Nick Krall all the way. I do blame Nick Krall the same way everybody else blamed David Bell last year. I think if you're there for an X amount of years and you don't win games, how can they justify you being here? But they had to believe in this core. You had to believe in CES. You had to believe in Matt McClain. You had to believe in Spencer Steer and Tyler Stevenson and Ellie De La Cruz. Baseball would probably give you whatever you wanted for in a trade. We have them here available to us, and we've wasted it. We're wasting it. There's no digging out of this hole this year. We know what this team is. For those of you who say it's May, it's early, that's all fine and dandy. But just watch the games a couple times. It doesn't change. How they play baseball doesn't change. Fundamentally, they don't change. They don't grow. They don't develop. Ellie De La Cruz isn't having, his best season. If he had his best season, they still wouldn't be good.
Right.
Matt McClain is not playing well. Spencer Steer, I love Spencer Steer, but he was a nothing fresh out of the gate this season. I won't fully blame him because he's hurt and he's fighting through it. And he knows if he's not there, what other AAA player are we going to bring up to replace him? But this was the easiest stretch of the season. You're playing Major League Baseball's worst. And you're telling me you can only scrape up one series win? That's all we had in us? One series win? Over the Colorado Rockies. That's it. I'm okay with bad stretches. It happens in Major League Baseball. I'm okay with slumps. I'm okay with losing, 7 to 10. It happens. These things happen. The Dodgers will lose 7 to 10 this year. They'll go on bad stretches. Other teams are able to come back from that. This team is not.
Right.
They are not built to deal with adversity. They're not built to play from behind. It has to be perfect for them to win. And based on the injuries, based on the talent that we have available to us, it's never going to be that. There needed to be more done this offseason to help that offense. We knew the offense was bad coming into this season. It was woeful. I think they're 1 for 26, 1 for their last 26 with runners in scoring position. Nobody can get that job done. Nobody can help out. Will Benson, they called him up. He's been good. He's been solid since they've called him up.
He was great defensively last night.
Great defensively. Another double last night. Casey
Yeah.
texted us about the defense too. Austin Hayes, we signed Austin Hayes. He goes on that 10-game stretch or whatever it was where he looks like one of the greatest players in Major League Baseball. Gets hurt. Looked like a different player since. Gavin Lux led Major League Baseball, I'm pretty sure, in average and on-base percentage for about 5 games. And then he comes back down to earth. When these players come back down to earth, this team is nothing. They don't have a shot. I understand that we can try to be optimistic and we can try to be happy. But what's the answer? The Reds are going to go on and play teams that are a lot better than the Chicago White Sox and the Washington Nationals and the Miami Marlins and the St. Louis Cardinals. The Reds are going to play better teams than that. And my concern is when you get to the teams that are actually worth a damn, what are you going to look like then? Right. The Reds have won 4 series this season. 4 series. 3 of them are against teams that aren't competitive. I thought coming into this year that there would be an elite tier of baseball, the Dodgers, the Padres, the Mets. There'd be a pretty good tier, the Phillies. I thought the Braves would be in there. Obviously, Braves are playing a little bit worse. The Yankees probably in that tier. Maybe the Red Sox in that tier. And there's just the okay teams. There's the teams that are probably going to fight for the playoffs, maybe have a chance at their division. Pretty much the whole AL Central in that tier. I thought the Orioles would probably be better this year. I would have probably put them in the good tier. But I would probably have the Reds in the step below that average tier. I thought they could maybe make something happen if they got hot at the right time, or if they were able to play above what we have here.
The dream was competing for the wild card in September. That was the ceiling of hope.
That's the goal. And that goal is just not attainable. It's not attainable. The starting pitching, they've given it their all, and that's then the number one reason as to why the Reds are somewhat still not atrocious. They're 20-24, which is honestly hard to believe.
It's unbelievable.
Given the fact that, they haven't won anything. But the Reds were not supposed to be this bad. They were not supposed to be this bad last year. But maybe they are. Maybe that 12-game winning streak altered everyone's brain here in town. And maybe gave us some sort of facade that this team, that this roster was better than it is. And that's the only thing I can think of. Because they are bad. When you rank out the teams in Major League Baseball, the Reds are at the bottom. They're the bottom. They're not as good as the Washington Nationals. I don't know if they're as good as the Miami Marlins at this point.
The only team we know we're better than is the 6-34 Rockies.
Yeah, that's it. And the Pirates. They're always better than the Pirates. But this is it, man. I mean, this is what we've got, and there's no coming back from it as of right now. Jeimer Candelario was a failure. That contract was a disgrace, and now we're gonna have to claw our way out without him. As I mentioned, Matt McClain, he's hitting 170 on the year. It's a guy that has to be good. Like he can't be average. He has to be good. He's not even close to average right now. Elly De La Cruz, for whatever that's worth, he's hitting 250 with a 320 OBP, 730 OPS. Like, that's okay, but you need him to be as good as humanly possible. The rest of this team just doesn't have it. I know TJ Friedel's dealing with injury. Noel Marte dealing with injury. I know Tyler Stevenson was injured. Now he's coming back from it. Still not playing well. There's a lot on this team that just hasn't gone right again this year, and we don't have the means to come back from it. And it happens time and time again. And am I disappointed? Yeah, I'm upset and I'm frustrated. And the only thing I can hope for is eventually this front office is going to take a look at what's happening here. They're going to take a look at the excitement that comes from Elly De La Cruz and Hunter Greene, and they're going to say, all right, something is not working. This is not working. If it's Nick Krall, it's Nick Krall. If it's Brad Meter, it's Brad Meter. There's an answer to this test somewhere, and the Reds aren't even close to finding that answer. This is a disaster we've entered into. We were supposed to be out of the rebuild by now. But we're still in it. You're still playing that prospect game. And you have to. I understand that. But if the prospects aren't good and you're not going to pay a lot of money elsewhere, then I don't know what else we're supposed to do. Reed came in here yesterday and he made up a good point. Trevino, Gavin Lux, Austin Hayes, they were good this year. They have been good this year. It's still not enough. It's not even close to being enough. So who knows what the plan is going forward? I'm very curious to see what the direction of this franchise is. But as for this season, we've seen it all. They're going to give you a 25-run game every 3 weeks. And then outside of that, it's going to be really good starting pitching and the worst offense collectively I've ever seen in my entire life. 1 for 26 in their last 26 with runners in scoring position. There's no saving this team. I tried when I was in high school. I struggled with chemistry. Chemistry was the number one thing I couldn't do. And I got through the first quarter, didn't have a very good grade. Got to the midway point, grade still stunk. Third quarter, grade still terrible. And eventually you look at it in the fourth quarter, you're like, you just don't got it. You tried tutoring, you tried it all. You tried changing how you study. You tried asking for more help. And it's just not working. And it didn't work for my sophomore year of chemistry, and it's not working for the Cincinnati Reds. The way that they do business is wrong. And I know it's wrong because they've done nothing. They've accomplished nothing in 30 years. Nothing. So I'm frustrated, I'm sad, I'm disappointed. They got the series finale with the White Sox this afternoon. But what good does that do us? They win this game and then what? They maybe survive against the Cleveland Guardians. They don't win games at home. No. Like, there's no part of what they do that's good. Nothing. They don't win games at home. They can't win close games. They can't win low-scoring games. The only games they win is if somebody, I guess, one starting pitcher they play gives up 50 runs. That's it. That's the only time they can score. And somehow it skews all of the stats that we have on the year. This is a bottom 3 offensive team in Major League Baseball. They're bad, and they shouldn't be.
Yeah, this team has 20 wins, and no less than 17 of them are because of the pitching staff.
Correct. We know what's good, and we know what's not good. Hopefully Nick Kroll understands what's not good heading into next season.
I would say the sad part is, if you told me these stats for this lineup at this point in the season, I wouldn't be shocked that this Reds team's hard to watch. I would probably be shocked by the record.
Yeah.
If you told me that Matt McClain and Ellie De La Cruz are doing what they're doing this year, and we're still close to 500 baseball.
Close.
That would shock me. And I know that maybe this record's not a fair representation of this team, and certainly we're all pretty close to checking out on the 2025 Reds, but man, I don't know how much more you can ask for from these offseason additions. We knew that the weight of the 2025 Reds and the 2026 Reds and the 2027 Reds and the 2028 Reds are on this young core. It's on Spencer Steer. It's on Matt McClain. It's on CES. It's on Ellie. You need that middle infield to be 2 superstars. They had to be all-star starting caliber players at second base and shortstop for this team to have any kind of chance to be competitive this year.
Yeah.
And we just haven't gotten that. And Austin Hayes could be as good as Austin Hayes could possibly be. And Jose Trevino can hit .310 all year long. It doesn't matter because we can't go get superstars in free agency. And you can't win without superstars.
Yeah.
So we have to have them from our farm system, and they have to come up and they have to perform to the peak of what we expect in order for this team to have any kind of chance. And I'm not even talking about the World Series. I'm so far beyond asking this team to compete for World Series. I just want a little bit more than mid-May.
Yeah.
Give me something competitive that I'm excited to go to the ballpark and watch, that I'm excited to turn on my TV and see what this team's up to. And it's just not there anymore.
The White Sox, the Astros, the Braves, the Nationals, the Cardinals, the Rockies, and the Marlins. That whole stretch there, you won 1 series, with a decent amount of those games being played at home. 1 series win. The team isn't good. We can pretend they are. They might win 5 in a row down the line. They can stay within 5 of 500, and you can fool yourself. Welcome on in. Jacob, Elliot, Casey, Off the Bench, Chatterbox Sports, ESPN 1410, Wing AM. I saw a tweet from Charlie last night, and I'm going to try to find it on the spot. But you guys were there, and when you sit through that, it just takes the life out of a fan base. A sold out crowd last night, and that's the performance you have.
Yeah.
It's unacceptable. It's unacceptable. I can't find the tweet that Charlie had yesterday.
In this recent stretch? Is that what you were looking for? In this recent stretch, the Reds have lost a series versus 3 rebuilding teams in the Marlins, Nationals, and White Sox, in addition to series losses versus the Braves and Astros, plus a split versus St. Louis. Their only series win during that stretch is a sweep versus the Rockies. Dropping a series versus the White Sox is even tougher when you're already in a stretch like this. The Reds aren't banking wins. That was Charlie's tweet last night after dropping Game 2 and losing the series to the White Sox at home, and that's exactly what we were talking about going into this stretch. We pointed to this stretch of games and said, the Reds have to bank wins.
Have to.
We know what we have to get to in order to compete for a wild card spot or compete to win the division, because that's the path we have to make the playoffs. We think we have to win the NL Central, and we know where the Cubs are going to get. So if the Reds are even going to try to push mid-80s, high 80s in wins, you have to beat these bad teams, because we can't expect them to beat the great teams when the schedule gets harder.
Yeah.
And they go through this stretch, and it's as bad as you can possibly imagine in terms of the losses you stack up.
There's no. I mean, I'm looking like I'm watching these games and I'm trying to find something to give me a little bit of hope, and it's just a team that's quit. They've failed chemistry for 3 straight quarters, and they're in the 4th quarter now. And it's, why would we change anything? We know what we are. That's how it feels. Terry Francona looks defeated at these press conferences. I don't know what else. I don't know how else he's supposed to look, but he looks defeated. The guys in the field, I mean, they're trying to do anything. Anytime they get on base, it's like we've won. It's like we've won the World Series. It feels like. Anytime they get an extra base hit, I mean, they're trying a little bit. I can see the excitement when they do something good, but it's not enough. It's not nearly enough. I hope Nick Kroll and Brad Meter, they're in the lab right now, and I hope they have some sort of answer. Because one player doesn't fix this. If they go out and traded for a decent outfield bat, if they go out and traded for a decent first baseman, there's not an answer here. There's not. They have to get in the lab and they have to rethink of how they're doing things, because how they are doing things is objectively not working. They are failing, and you have to turn a corner. You have to do something to try and change. Reds buy or sell. Casey, do you have these over there?
Yep, I've got them.
So we'll start with that first one, Casey, whenever you're ready.
Yep, it's... Oh.
Buy or sell. This season is somehow yet more disappointing than last season.
I think you have to buy it. What is there not to buy? Matt McClain is playing. It's Terry Francona managing, not David Bell. Ellie De La Cruz was an MVP candidate last year. We all, at least in the offseason, thought he was going to take a significant step forward. Hunter Green's a Cy Young candidate. I mean, this team should have at least given us another 2.5 months. Yeah, I'll buy it. This is as frustrating as it's been since 100 losses, I'd say.
I'm going to sell it, and I'll tell you why. I said this season I'm going to lower my expectations. I'm going to drop that facade that was covered over our eyes when they won 12 in a row. Because clearly last year wasn't good enough. I said before this season they did not do enough offensively to help the team. Yeah. I said that. That's been the case this year. The offense is woeful. I mean, it's, with all due respect, it's a disgrace to the sport how bad this team is at offense. And it's just the little things, too. I'm not asking for 100 runs a game here. I'm asking that we can move the extra inning runner over. That's what I'm asking for. That the automatic ghost runner on second base can get to third before we get 2 outs. And they're unable to do it. A leadoff double for the Reds is worthless, because that guy will sit there all game long. Nobody can move him. They do not do anything right. They do not know how to play fundamental baseball. It's been lost on them. Everybody told me Terry Francona was going to save them. Terry Francona can't save this roster the same way David Bell can't save the roster.
Jesus Christ couldn't save this roster.
There's nobody that can save the roster because it's not a good roster.
Correct.
I know everybody wanted David Bell out of town. I know he didn't do anything. But what did you think Terry Francona was going to do when Blake Dunn and Jacob Hurtubise see regular time? So I'm going to sell this. I would say it's just as disappointing as last year. It's not more disappointing.
Which was just as disappointing as the year before, which was probably a little less disappointing than the year before that, which was more disappointing than the year that preceded that one. I mean, it's just we're on a historic stretch of more disappointing than the last.
Which is a wild place to be when you have Ellie De La Cruz. I had a text from our good friend Jimmy this morning. I don't understand the Reds.
Neither do I, James.
They have an MVP in Ellie De La Cruz, an MVP caliber superstar on their team. They got a Cy Young caliber pitcher on the roster, and they're no closer this year than they were last year or 2 years ago. How do you not try to develop the roster a little bit? Change it. I'm going to sell this buy or sell because I don't think it was realistic for any of us to expect anything different. Just because Terry Francona is our manager, it's no reason to expect he could have fixed these problems. Casey, the next buy or sell.
The next buy or sell. The core of this team is overrated by the fan base.
I'm going to buy it. I don't know how you don't buy it. Because we've been talking about this core for 3 years now, and every single year they perform worse than the year before. Every year. They've gotten worse. So where is CES? Where is he? I don't like to blame injuries on people. I really do not. But he hasn't been available to the Reds. Right. Matt McClain suffered another injury this year, and he's been horrible since coming back from it. Horrible. He couldn't play worse if he tried. Tyler Stevenson, hurt. Spencer Steer, hurt and bad. How do you possibly buy into this core? What's there to buy at this point? And you can sit here and say, oh, well, they're young. They're young. They're 22. They're 23. They're 24. That's all great. But we don't have them for 10 years. We are not the Atlanta Braves.
Right.
We are not the Houston Astros. If they're not going to extend these guys, we have them for 5 to 6 years, depending on when you want to trade them. This core is not as good as we initially thought. And I know that because they haven't been good and they haven't won games. And it's getting to a point now where I'm starting to lose faith entirely in this core. I'm not there yet, but clearly we saw something in 2023 during various different 25, 30-game stretches based on when they came up and how well they played, being CES and Noel V and Matt. Clearly we overrated them. That's my takeaway. Because if we rated them properly, this team would be in the playoffs. This team would be winning series against the Chicago White Sox, who broke the record last year for most losses in a season at home. We can beat them at home, and you haven't. So I'm buying it.
Yeah, I don't know how you could sell it, right? I still have the utmost faith that Ellie De La Cruz and Matt McClain are going to be really, really good baseball players for the Cincinnati Reds in the very few years that they'll be here after this one. Outside of that, if you exclude this pitching staff, I don't know if there's another player I believe in.
No.
I guess you could say before the injury, Noel Marte showed you more of what you saw in 2023 than what you saw last year, so remove him from the bucket he was in before the season, at least in my opinion, where I was completely out on him. But still not a big enough sample size for me to put him anywhere near somewhere I have faith in to be an everyday player for a long time. Matt McClain is getting very close to being pulled out of that group that I have a lot of faith in. We are almost now seeing as big of a sample size of him not being good as we saw of him being good.
Yeah.
So that's scary to look at. I still believe in Ellie, and I think when you add the pitching staff, this core does give you a lot to be excited about. Nick Lodolo, Hunter Green are incredible. Graham Ashcraft has looked really good since moving to the bullpen, and we have some good young arms in there. But outside of that, CES is useless. Jamer Candelaria, I know he's not part of that young core, but that's a major free agency deal that you brought in to be an everyday player on this team.
For multiple years.
And he is useless. Yeah, the core is bad. The core is much worse than we thought it was going to be because you just said it. If it was anywhere close to what we thought it was in 2023, this team is in the playoffs. This team is 20-24. They are 30th in the MLB in strength of schedule. The Nationals are 29th. They are closer to the Pirates, who are 9th, than they are to the Reds, who are 30th. And the Reds are 20-24, playing opponents with a .464 winning percentage. That's a joke. That's a joke.
And that's why you say, like, I can sit here and we can say it's May and whatever, but this season's done. If you're not going to beat Major League Baseball's worst teams, you are not going to beat the Los Angeles Dodgers, the San Diego Padres, the Chicago Cubs. You're not coming close. The Milwaukee Brewers are not good. They own the Reds this year. Own them. Owned them.
This year.
And every year, I guess. Casey, the next buy or sell.
The next buy or sell. Nick Krall is out of a job end of the season.
I think Jacob's going to disagree with me on this. If this season continues to spiral, and I don't see a way where they're able to fight through this, I don't understand how you can justify firing David Bell last season and then keeping Nick Krall this offseason. You know, if they get back to 500, fine. At the end of the year, they finish this season somewhere around 80 wins, fine. If they're going to finish right around 70 wins, which is what I probably project them at right around now, 70 or so wins, I don't know how you can justify continuing to believe in Nick Krall, to tell us that Nick Krall is the answer. What he's done has not worked. We thought it would work. In 2023, boy, we thought it would work. But we're 2 seasons removed from that, and they are not closer to making the playoffs than they were in 2023. They got hot, they got lucky in 2023. Since then, from what Nick Krall has had to work with, they have not been good. If you want to blame injuries, blame injuries. But other teams are able to fight through injuries. The Reds are not. And there's been no answer for those injuries. None. There's been no depth. There's no help. The cavalry isn't coming to Cincinnati. They're all in Los Angeles. All of the cavalry's in Los Angeles or San Diego or New York. That's where they reside. They're not here. And Nick Krall has not had answers for when this team struggles. 0 answers. He's done very, very little to improve this roster. And again, if you want to say that he has, they don't win games. I don't know how you look at their record and say that he's done that. They've gotten worse over 2 years, over this 3-year stretch. He should not be here if the Reds continue this trend this season. I'm going to buy it.
I agree with every single word you just said except for the buying it. You're putting way too much faith in the Reds front office. They care about winning.
Yeah.
And putting a product on the field.
Yeah.
They have a guy who's going to do exactly what they tell him to do, and he's going to do what they want him to do in the press conferences, and he's not going to push to spend a ton of money. What happens when you go bring in a young guy who's an up-and-comer from the Rays or the Guardians or one of these other small market teams that has success with the constraints we're working under? What happens when you bring them in? I'm sure they ask for a little bit of money.
Yeah.
I'm sure they ask for a little bit of support. I'm sure when the young core isn't living up to the level that you want them to, they would say, hey, let's supplement this with some other pieces so we don't take a massive step back and punt on an entire season.
Yeah.
That's why they're good front office people, and that's why those teams with the same constraints we're under win games and go on playoff runs. They're not going to – the Castellinis aren't going to take pushback from a GM. So I think Nick Krall is going to be here as long as Nick Krall wants to be here. Or his contract runs up, because they won't pay him to not be the GM of this team. Only reason they fired David Bell is because I think they knew Terry Francona was coming. And the only thing they care about more than the money they're paying somebody is how they can get butts in seats without actually, trying to win games. And Terry Francona does that, at least for the first few months of the season. We'll see what happens now.
ESPN 1410 Wing AM. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, a few more buy or sells, and then we're going to transition to a happy topic. We're going to transition to the Bengals. The Cincinnati Bengals schedule is
They
out.
got screwed too.
We're going to be happy. This is a positive Thursday. Chatterbox Sports Off the Bench, live in Hamilton, Ohio, ESPN 1410 Wing AM. ESPN 1410 Wing AM. Reed just brought up a pretty good point. I don't know if this is going on radio.
Oh, it's not. But we always do breaks because it makes our lives easier.
I honest to God, I forgot that. That's hand up. I said the time too, 12:40, the Reds game. That's my bad. Hand up. So do I stop doing radio or do I have to keep doing it? I feel like I just keep doing it now.
Yeah, just keep doing it.
I don't know. I'm too far in. Well, all right.
It keeps the flow of the show.
Yeah, it keeps the flow. ESPN 1410 Wing AM. What's up, everybody? I don't know if you'll hear it, but what's up? We're having a positive Reds show. That's what I would call this, a positive Reds show.
Yeah.
Next, Reds buy or sell, Casey.
The Cincinnati Reds will be sellers at the deadline.
No way.
You don't think so?
Who?
I don't. I think one of those pitchers is gone. I think one
Like
of
an Abbott?
I think Abbott or Brady Singer.
There's no way Lodolo or Green get traded.
No, Lodolo and Green are safe, but I think there's a chance somebody would buy the back end of a contract and try to make it work.
How do you trade Brady Singer? You just traded India for him.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, the only reason I'm selling this is because I don't know what they'd sell. I mean, maybe I would say Jose Trevino if they didn't extend him before this season because he's hitting 300. Austin Wells will probably get you a nice bag of Lay's potato chips. Like, I don't know what you're getting. Maybe you hope Jacob Pertubis gets hot and you get a single A flyer. Like, who on this team's able to be traded?
Yeah, I mean, nobody. But I think Andrew Abbott would be my name if I had to give you
If
a
Pagan
name.
didn't give up 5 runs last game, maybe he stacks up some saves. You can
Maybe.
move him.
I mean, maybe you're moving Alexis Diaz. I think.
Ugh, for what?
I don't know. Anything's better. Anything's better than
You're
just
right.
keeping him. I don't. I'm going to sell this as well. I'm going to sell that they sell, but I do think it's more likely that they sell than buy.
Well, there's a 0% chance they buy, and
Yeah.
if they sell, it's just does anyone want players?
Correct.
Because they will sell.
That's what
I don't know if there's a market.
We'll see what happens, but the roster's not going to be good enough. They're not going to have enough wins at that point to buy anything. So it's going to be the Reds maybe moving a couple pieces to improve next year's roster, and we'll see if that works. But I think that's a unanimous sell from this room. The next buy or sell.
The next buy or sell. The Cincinnati Reds are close to being a contender.
And when I made this buy or sell, I was talking about the future, right? What you see in this team. Are they a piece away? Are they 3 pieces away? How many pieces away are they? And the answer is going to be probably unanimous. No, they're not close. I mean, they're not remotely close to being a contender. They're not 1 outfield power bat away. They're not 2 outfield power bats away. They are legitimately an entire roster away from being a contender in Major League Baseball. They're a roster away. And we can pretend otherwise, and we can sit here and try to believe in the core, but I don't know how you change this. If you're not going to compete in the division when it's as bad as it is right now, if you don't finish second in the division this year, you are never going to finish second in the division, ever. The Pittsburgh Pirates are a disgrace to the sport. The St. Louis Cardinals, despite winning 10 of 11, they're not any good. The Milwaukee Brewers are not good. And unfortunately, neither are the Reds. And if you're not going to compete this year, I have a hard time believing you're going to compete in the near future. They beat me down, man. I don't see a scenario in the next 2 years where something drastically changes. It's going to have to be, I remember that trade like it was yesterday, the Matt Kemp, Yasiel Puig trade to Cincinnati.
Yep.
It's going to have to be that caliber of a move that puts the Reds back into a spot where maybe they are contenders. I don't know what the package would be. I don't know who the players would be. But there needs to legitimately be an overhaul on the offensive side of this team. The pitching staff, fine. Pretty damn good.
What if you had someone that you could move and return, I don't know, something comparable to like a James Wood, C.J. Abrams, a few other top 5 prospects? Get a pretty good young core to go right along next to a few pieces of this young core.
Yeah?
Maybe that's a good way to turn this roster around.
Too early, though. You think it's too early? What's too early, though?
What's too early if you're not winning and you're not extending him?
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, I agree with. I won't even say it.
No, I'm not saying it. I'm not saying it.
I'm not saying it either. But I will say that if you go that route, what makes you think the Reds are going to be able to develop those players and make them worth it?
That's why.
That's
why you do it for like 1 major league bat.
If it's like if you're going to do it this year, it's like, or not this year, but if you're going to do it in the future, if you're not going to be able to make this work this year and you're going to do that in the future, I don't know how we can sit here and say that that's going to be an effective solution. But who knows?
That's why I think that the frustration with this team seems to be boiling over a little bit, even though they are floating right around 500 at 20 and 24. it feels like we've lost every ounce of hope we've had for where this team could potentially be going in this window.
The future's been lost.
Correct. And
that's how it feels.
That's the issue. That's the issue with this team and with this fan base right now is any little piece of hope we had for this team being a contender in this window, it seems like that hope is going to have to come from someone that's not here right now.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, Ellie and McLean take those steps and get back to where we think they could be, and that's awesome. But I don't think we have any faith in the rest of this roster getting to a level. So any chance of us putting a lineup out there with 9 guys that we think, hey, this is a competitive roster.
Yeah.
Half of those guys aren't on this roster right now?
Yeah.
Or aren't even close to the level they need to be playing at to be on that lineup.
Correct.
So, yeah, I don't know how you could think that we're close to being a contender.
Do we have one buy or sell left, Casey?
We have one more.
One more buy or sell.
The Reds can get better next year.
This is what we say every year, isn't it? This is what we say. Can Nick Krall cook something up and make the team better than the year before? It's just not, it hasn't worked in 3 years. It has not worked in 3 seasons. They have gotten somehow worse. Blame the injuries, blame the core, blame David Bell, blame Terry Francona, blame whoever you gotta blame. But when I look at the season-ending record, the Reds are getting worse. They went through an entire stretch against Major League Baseball's worst teams and won 1 series against a team that's arguably the worst of all time. That's where the Reds are at. The offense is not close. And I don't see a world where this offseason Nick Krall, puts some magic fairy dust on this roster and makes it better. I don't see a world where that happens. And for that reason, I'm going to say, as of now, with Nick Krall and Brad Meter running this shit, no, I don't think they can get better next year. Not unless something very drastic changes. I'm going to sell it.
I'm going to buy it because they'll either be better this year than last year, or next year they'll be better than they were this year.
Yeah.
The Reds won 77 games in 2024. If they win 75 or so games this year, which I think is kind of where we're all at with where this team's playing right now, they will win more than that next year. Will they be competitive for the playoffs? Probably not. I'm not, crazy here. But mid-80s where we thought they could be this year? Yeah. I think that's within reach. So, I'll go out on a limb and say the Reds can win 81 games in 2026.
Yeah.
Oh, crazy. A lot of excitement in the city. But, yeah, I don't know what else you can say.
There's nothing. There's nothing else. There's no answer to this right now. Somebody's going to have to do something to fix it. But I would say most of this fan base is beat to hell.
Yeah.
I'm seeing Twitter accounts that are the most optimistic Twitter accounts. Bryce Spalding, one of his most recent tweets is, "I'm not sure where this team goes. I think that's what's so deflating." I watch Chatterbox Reds, and it's the most discouraged I've seen those two guys. I've looked at, Gingosaurus Rex on Twitter, one of the most optimistic Reds fans there is.
Shut it down.
He's shutting the account down. Like, this is where we are as Reds fans, and it's a tough place to be. To anybody who still believes in them, I respect you all. I love you all, and hopefully the Reds do get better. But I haven't even gotten to do my singing bit. I like my singing bit that I do when they win series. They don't win series.
Beat the Rockies that one time.
They don't win any series. It's just it's a wild place to be. Hopefully they do get better, but I don't see it. I'm pretty out. Casey, I think we were going to go back to the first buy or sell, right?
There's one more buy or sell that I wanted to ask Elliot while we're still in this segment here. The first one was whether or not this season is more disappointing than last year. 77 and 85. Certainly missed the playoffs in a year where we thought it was going to be the start of this young core doing something special. But I want to ask, is this season more disappointing than 2022? 62 and 100. Second 100-loss season in the history of one of the most storied franchises in baseball. That felt like a low.
Yeah.
Saw Chatterbox Reds last night was titled Rock Bottom, and it certainly feels like it, leaving the stadium last night.
Yeah.
In 2022, when we lost 100 games, there was no Ellie De La Cruz. There was no Matt McLean. These guys were coming.
Yeah.
These guys were raking in Louisville. CES, I think, led the minor leagues in home runs that year.
Yeah.
We had all this faith to believe in that that low was the past, and we were moving forward. And then even in 2021, in 2023, it built us up more with that 12-game win streak and getting over 500. I think this season is much worse than the 100 losses.
Yeah.
Because we have no future to believe in.
Yeah.
At least then I could look forward and say, Jonathan India just won Rookie of the Year. We got all these young guys in the minors that are absolutely tearing it up. Maybe Nick Kroll will supplement this core.
Yeah.
I had that belief, and it was foolish, but I had that belief. And I just can't talk myself into that anymore.
No, I don't want to say it's as I understand your sentiment 100%. Are they telling me to read a comment? What's
the pin comment?
RM super chat. Barry Larkin comments at the end of the game sounded like he was throwing in the towel. Yeah, I mean it's hard to watch. Like John Sadak is I'm not a big fan of our TV broadcast. Just because when you struggle, it's hard to match that optimistic outlook, and that's what they bring, and that's why a lot of fans like them. I'm a negative guy. You guys know that. I don't mind the Tom Brenneman style of broadcasting, where he's I feel like he's keeping it real with me. John Sadak, he tries to get the fans excited, and I don't fault anybody who likes that style. But as of right now, Barry Larkin and John Sadak, I mean, what are those poor guys? They got nothing.
Nothing.
I mean, they got nothing to talk about right now. They got nothing. They have no reason to be excited when you're doing this. Same goes for the Cowboy and Tommy. It's a tough place to be. And as for what Jacob just asked me, is it worse, more disappointing, more deflating than 2022? The only reason I'll say no is because that team consisted of Brandon Drury, who I'm pretty sure was the best player.
But that's what I mean. There was no level of expectation that they'd be competitive. I mean, granted, we didn't think they'd lose 100 games.
It's certainly easier to be in that spot as a fan. Like, I know this is going to be bad. Like, I know that.
Like, I just kind of resigned myself to that.
We're in a world right now where we don't know what this is.
Which is, the unknown is so much scarier than knowing you're bad.
And I think that's a fair point. I'm going to say it's not. I'm going to say it's not just because I look at that roster and that was like Mike Moustakas' one. I think that was his last year. Yeah. You had Aristides Aquino still hitting below 200. You had Joey Votto hitting horribly, no disrespect. I love Joey, but he didn't have a good year that year. Tommy Pham didn't have a good year that year. Jake Fraley was okay that year. Kyle Farmer was probably the second best player on the team. Yeah. It wasn't a good roster, and that's why I think that this year at least I can stomach a couple. Like we were talking about this before the show. Like we can watch every fifth day.
Yeah.
You can't watch that. That team's unwatchable. And that's where I think that there's something to – there's an answer. There's a way to move this puzzle to make it fit. Somewhere. Someone's got that key. Someone has that answer. I just don't think it's Nick Kroll or Brad Meter. I certainly don't think it's the Castellinis. Somebody's got something that can help this. I don't know what that answer is. Is it a scarier place to be, living in the unknown? Probably. But when you live in the unknown, there's always that possibility of hope. Always. When you know you're bad, and there's no hope, and there's no glimmer. Sure, in the future you can say maybe they're coming. But you still, at that point, understand that you're going to be bad for a while. This team, you don't know what it is. I don't think Las Vegas knew what this team was when they set the win total at 79. I think they could be 8 games worse than that, and I think they could probably be 8 games better than that if everything went right or wrong. So who knows what this team is? I'm going to say it's not as disappointing, but I understand it being just every bit as disappointing, if not maybe more so. Because like I said, the Cavalry's not coming. The Cavalry's in New York and in California. They don't live in Cincinnati, Ohio. But that's it. That's the Reds. We're done talking about the Reds today. The season is over. I've declared it over. The 2025 season's cooked. You can only lose to so many rebuilding teams before I just have to call it. And I've called it. There's just no more fight. They play a series finale today at 12:40. Is that lineup out? I should have looked before I should have thrown that to anybody. It's got to be out, right?
Yep, it is.
Let's see.
DH and Gavin Lux in the leadoff. Espinal second at third base. Ellie third, shortstop, Austin Hayes in left, Steer at first, Will Benson in center, Stevenson catching, Matt McClain still in the 8th spot at second, and then Connor Joe in right field.
I mean, it's just not good enough, man. It's nowhere close to being good enough. I love Santiago Espinal. I think he's good. Santiago Espinal being the 2-hitter permanently this season, not what we had. Connor Joe being a permanent outfielder for the Reds, not what we expected. Matt McClain having to hit 8 because he's the worst hitter in the lineup, not what we expected.
Santiago Espinal is 2 for his last 26.
Yeah, I mean,
That's why you maybe when guys show you over the course of their career that they're a backup bat,
yeah,
and then they start to play really, really well in that role, maybe they're just a backup bat, guys.
and there's nothing wrong with
Nothing wrong with that. Championship teams need those.
Yeah.
The Reds are just happen to be made up about half the starting lineup.
The Cincinnati Reds, 12-40 against the White Sox. I mean, if you believe in hope, if you still have your season alive with this team, they certainly can't get swept by one of the league's worst at home. But to each their own. ESPN 1410, Wing AM, maybe not over the radio, but just in case it is. Chatterbox Sports off the bench. And we're back. Don't know if we're on radio, but if we are, welcome on in. ESPN 1410 Wing AM, off the bench, Chatterbox Sports. Elliot, Jacob, and Casey here live, Hamilton, Ohio. Beautiful weather outside. I had the windows down this morning, driving on the highway. It felt fantastic.
That's my favorite part about when I wear a hat to work.
Yeah.
Is I can do the windows down on the way in. A day like today, I forgot to wear a hat. It's like I just can't.
Yeah.
It stinks.
Yeah.
But it's the best.
My hair gets so messed up. It's so easy. Whenever I do that, it's got to put a hat on the head after I put my head out the window like a dog, because I love it. I absolutely love it. The Bengals. The NFL schedules are out for every team. The Bengals. Listen, I know people might have not loved it. I thought it was pretty funny. I thought it was a funny bit. We're gonna roll the first 30 seconds of it. And I thought the Bengals, if I had to give a grade to like who were the funniest, who were the least funniest, I think the Bengals were up there, top half for sure. But this is how the Bengals announced their schedule.
Action.
Here's the Bengals 2025 schedule.
Cut.
Let's get to work.
Got it. Let's tear it down.
You just gonna drop it? Just get the table, man. Table always broke, boy.
That thing still rolling? No, it's off. Can you believe we played Pittsburgh on Thursday night?
and that's it.
Somewhere in the 30s.
Oh, come on.
I would put it in the low 30s.
That was better than the Sabrina Carpenter one.
No.
That was way better than the Sabrina Carpenter one.
No, it wasn't.
It was funny. It was silly.
It wasn't funny at all.
They were doing it was
the
a
next
movie
2
bit.
minutes of the video is nothing.
But that's what made it funnier for me. I liked how it was just they were going about their day, like the movie wasn't even happening.
I like the sword one. That was the only part that made me laugh.
Okay.
When Ted ran across with the sword, that was funny. But the biggest takeaway from the schedule release video, right at the bottom of those credits, there's a little logo we haven't seen in quite some time. First time we've seen on official Bengals
Oh boy.
post, the Leaping Tiger. First time in a long time, at least, and maybe that's alluding to maybe a new field, maybe a new uniform. 4 alternate helmets, or a second alternate helmet. 4 helmets are now allowed in the NFL, so potentially the Bengals adding the Leaping Tiger throwback uniform this year. I don't know, maybe I'm getting over my skis, but that would be very exciting. I've wanted that logo back for a long time. There's not many things revolving around my favorite sports teams that I hate more than that wretched B logo. I mean, it's terrible. If you're a professional sports team and you just take the first letter of your name and make it your logo, get out of here. The only thing worse than that is the Browns being an orange helmet. You're the Browns. Be brown. But letters are terrible. Bring back the Leaping Tiger.
I agree. I agree that it should be the Leaping Tiger. But the Bengals schedule is out. It starts in the preseason with the Eagles on August 7th, then the Commanders August 18th, and the Colts August 23rd. The regular season goes as follows. The Bengals will take on the Browns in Cleveland September 7th at 1 p.m. They will then come home to face the Jaguars on September 14th for the home opener at 1 p.m. Bengals go back on the road for 2 games, one against the Minnesota Vikings, September 21st, 1 p.m., and then September 29th at 8:15 p.m. Is that a Monday night game?
Yes.
Monday night against the Broncos. You have the Lions, October 5th at 4:25. That will be at home. And you have then on the road the Packers. You're at Lambeau Field, October 12th, 4:25 p.m. The Steelers, they come to town October 16th, 8:15 p.m. That's that Thursday night game, right?
Happy birthday, Jacob.
Happy birthday, Jacob.
I'm very excited for
How about
that.
that?
Will
How about
Howard, Jack Sawyer coming back to pay for my
yeah.
birthday. It's a good present.
Jets also then come home immediately following that. This is a little 3-game home stretch. Jets come home October 26th at 1 p.m. Then the Bears come to Cincinnati November 2nd at 1 p.m. The Bengals then go on the road to the Pittsburgh Steelers November 16th. Then the Patriots come to town November 23rd. The Bengals then play the Baltimore Ravens again on the road and again prime time. I don't know how many years in a row that's been. It feels like it's been 4 years. 4 years the Bengals have played the Baltimore Ravens on the road in prime time.
And had the home game be at 1 p.m.
That's right. So that'll be the big Thanksgiving game.
That's right, Thanksgiving night.
The Bengals get to play on a holiday.
One of my roommates in college is a big Baltimore fan, grew up in Maryland, and he texted me after the schedule release, Thursday Night Football.
Yeah.
You want to come to the Ravens game? I said, brother, that's on Thanksgiving.
It's Thanksgiving.
It's Thanksgiving Day. He was like, oh, I didn't realize that.
The Bengals will play the Bills December 7th, 4:25. Then the Ravens at home on December 14th at 1 p.m. Bengals travel to the Dolphins in Miami December 21st, 8:20 p.m. And then you have the December 27th and January 4th flex games between the Browns and the Cardinals.
I'll go out on a limb here.
To end the year.
I'll go out on a limb here, make a prediction. The flex games against the Browns and the Cardinals are not going to be primetime.
Cardinals, maybe?
Nah.
Didn't you say the Cardinals were good last year? You liked the Cardinals.
Good means like 8 wins and they're sneaky. I don't think they're flexing that in week 17.
You don't think they could be a little sneaky?
I think the only chance one of these get put in primetime would be maybe if Shedeur Sanders gets the starting nod and the Browns are fighting for the wild card.
Yeah.
But I don't know how those two things would happen. If the Browns are fighting for the wild card, that means the quarterbacks that started over Shedeur are playing better to get them in that position, so they wouldn't be able to pull him. He maybe has to start week 1 for that to happen. So I don't know what the solution is. I would bet neither of those last 2 games get flexed, though. Schedule's weird. A lot of tough stretches there.
What stands out the most to you when you first look at it? I think for me, right away, it's the Bengals again are kind of given a break with the beginning of the schedule.
What?
I think Browns on the road and then Jags Vikings is winnable. I think that to me.
I think the first stretch is one of the hardest stretches of the entire year.
Really?
Yeah. Going to Cleveland in week 1, I think, is a brutal draw. I think that's absolutely terrible for the Bengals. You don't even know who they're starting at quarterback. I think they're probably one of the hardest teams to scout this entire offseason. we've struggled with them before with much worse rosters than they have this year. So that certainly scares me, especially because I think it's going to be Flacco, who we know can run that offense to at least a level of competency that makes me worried for a team that always starts slow. And it's a divisional game. So if you lose that, you're digging yourself an even bigger hole than we have in the last few years, losing that first week. Jacksonville should be easy. But we learned last year nothing's easy in those first few weeks. And then Minnesota, Denver, Detroit, Green Bay, Pittsburgh.
So
holy cow.
So I don't think Minnesota's going to be good. That's just my take. Obviously, they could be as good as they were last year, but you lose Sam Darnold.
I think we're dogs in that game.
I think
we are.
I was going to say, Reed sent us the underdog thing last night.
1.5 points, I believe.
But then after that, it does get tough. At Denver, Lions at home, Green Bay on the road. I don't think. I mean, do you think the Jets are a walk-off or a throwaway team? Because I think the Jets are okay.
Jets, Chicago. How confident I am in the Bengals winning those games is directly dependent on what their record is going into them.
Yeah, that's fair.
I mean, if the Bengals start this season like I think they should on paper against these teams, and they're 4-2, 5-1 through week 6, they beat Pittsburgh at home in primetime, and you're sitting at 5-2. Yeah, I think they roll through the Jets in Chicago going into their bye week. And then we're talking about a 7-2 team at the bye week in week 10. And I think that's something, obviously everyone runs to primetime games. Where are the divisional matchups? Who are we playing early? This bye week being in week 10 is a godsend.
Yeah.
That is an unbelievable position for the Bengals to have a bye-in, much less the fact that they only play 4 home games before the bye.
Yeah.
This schedule sets up very, very well for a team that plays their best football at the end of the season. If they're able to tread water in the front half, they're going to be able to make a name for themselves in this back half. I think the NFL looked at what happened last year, and they said if Joe Burrow wants to win an MVP, he can do it after that bye. You go to Pittsburgh, you have New England come to town, then it's at Baltimore on Thanksgiving, at Buffalo, Baltimore at home, at Miami in primetime. If the Bengals are a playoff team and he goes through that stretch playing half the football we saw him play last year, Joe Burrow's the MVP at the end of this year.
Yeah, I think that's a realistic possibility. I don't see, like, there's, like, looking at the schedule before the dates and everything were announced, I thought the schedule was going to be a lot easier.
I agree. The opponents looked easier than when it shook out.
I think this is pretty, like, there's not a long stretch. Like, I think that first 2-3 games could be very winnable. I think you can go 3-0.
I think the easiest stretch is the last 3.
It's the last 3 and the front 3.
Correct.
Are what you're looking at.
And then I think the debate there is just, are you more confident in Miami or Minnesota?
Yeah.
Playing Miami in week 16, who's playing quarterback?
It's true. It's in Miami. That's the only saving grace. If it was in the cold in Cincinnati, I'd take the Bengals. But
yeah, looking at the Bengals schedule, I mean, you go to Buffalo in December 7th, but at Miami late in the season, what a nice little trip for the fellas.
I think it's a harder schedule than people think, and we'll see how the Bengals fare with it. I don't love it. I don't like playing on Thanksgiving. I love the idea of playing on Thanksgiving, that I get to watch it. But I don't like the idea of prime time against the Ravens again. I don't know how that happens every single year.
Right. It's ridiculous. It's the second time in NFL history a team has played a divisional opponent in prime time on the road 4 years in a row.
That's crazy.
That's ridiculous. It shouldn't happen. And if it does happen, if you want to force Lamar and Joe Burrow into prime time, which they should, it's an elite matchup and you know what you're getting. It's going to be must-see TV every single time they play. I just have a hard time believing you can't put it in Cincinnati ever.
Yeah.
My thing with Thanksgiving is I feel like that's a terrible Thanksgiving night game.
You think so?
It's going to be awesome. Oh, it's going to be awesome. It's going to be 52-49. It's going to be an incredible game. Highlights all over the place. At 8:30 on Thanksgiving night, I shouldn't have to be dialed in.
Yeah.
Give me like Cowboys, Jets, 21-17, stinker. All 4 of those 5 touchdowns are scored in the first quarter, and I can kind of snooze off, talk to the family, wrap up dinner, pack up the leftovers, and go home. I'm going to be sitting on the couch at 8:30 screaming at my TV because the Bengals defense can't tackle Lamar Jackson. I mean, it's going to be a nightmare. My family's going to hate it, but it should be fun. My guess would be if this lives up to expectations on Thanksgiving, it'll be on Christmas.
Yeah.
And then it might stay on Christmas.
I could see
for
that.
as long as Lamar and Joe are the quarterbacks of these teams.
The NFL holiday schedule, it's looking like this. Green Bay versus Detroit at 12:30 on Thanksgiving. Great game. The Kansas City Chiefs versus the Dallas Cowboys at 4:30. I think that's a good game.
Yeah, it's a great slate.
And then you have the Bengals versus Ravens at 8:20. Black Friday, you have the Bears taking on the Eagles for, I think that's a so-so game. And then Christmas, Cowboys Commanders at 1. Lions Vikings at 4:30. Broncos Chiefs at 8:15. That's your holiday schedule for the NFL. Casey, when you look at the Bengals schedule, is there anything that pops out to you?
I mean, I know you said it's a tough stretch early on, and I don't disagree with that, but we were looking at one of the positives. That NFC North slate, it's all front loaded, right?
Correct.
We play so many NFC opponents that if we do struggle early, like we're not burning the AFC games like we did last year. The first two are concerning. I mean, that's always going to be a Bengals' worst nightmare is the first 2 weeks of our season.
And they give you your easiest 2 conference games in those slots.
Yeah, they put our 2 easiest games in there. So if we can get out of that stretch, I don't even care if we go 1-1 in that stretch, the first 2 games of the year. If we drop one to Cleveland or Jacksonville, it's not the end of the world to me because I think there's some grace in there for us being able to struggle early, like I said, with them playing a bunch of NFC opponents first. Of course, you still got to get a decent overall record. So I expect them to, in that NFC North, to go like 2-2. But I actually don't mind the schedule as much. I know a lot of people are freaking out over that tough bit there. I'm more worried about after the bye week. Baltimore, Buffalo, Baltimore.
Oh, yeah.
That to me is a brutal stretch because you're coming off of the New England game. You got 4 days to prepare for Baltimore on Thanksgiving night. Then you go to Buffalo in winter. I'm not going to act like it's impossible for the Bengals to play in the cold and the snow because they did it and they beat the Buffalo Bills when it mattered most. But that's going to be a tough game. It's December. And then you play Baltimore that next week. And that 3-game stretch to me is the most important stretch because I think that's when they're going to be really fighting for a playoff spot, and the seedings I think are going to be the most important. That, and you could be looking at those 2 games versus Baltimore deciding the AFC North.
Oh, they will. No question.
And it's in weeks 13 and 15. Like I think that
wasn't a mistake.
Yeah.
That wasn't a mistake. They wanted to make sure these teams were in their positioning when we got down there, and these games were meaningful. I mean, we played that one game early last year and just saw how much bigger the press was for the late one after it happened. So I think it's great. And I mean, I asked Craig the question last night on our schedule release show out now on Chatterbox YouTube if you want to take a look at a deeper dive into the whole schedule. But is there more of a sure thing in the NFL than Lamar Jackson and Joe Burrow in primetime? I mean, there can't be.
It's a lock.
You know exactly what you're getting.
It's a lock.
And I would not be shocked if that December 14th game against Baltimore is in primetime.
Yeah.
I absolutely could see that getting flexed.
So
at least to a 4:30.
I would say that's a guarantee.
Yeah.
I would almost say that's a guarantee. Unless the Bengals, come out last year and they're sitting at 8-5 like they were last year. Then you have a different conversation.
When do they allow for you to start flexing out primetime games? When is that? Do we know what week that is?
It's back half, so it's at least after our bye. So we're safe in Pittsburgh at home. We won't get screwed like we did with Cleveland last year.
I'm more thinking like we might get an extra one if we're healthy and competing.
Yeah.
Like you said, that Baltimore game.
Baltimore's the only option in my eyes. I don't see any way that – I think Chicago's too early in Week 9, and then there's no way New England, Arizona, or Cleveland, unless there's some kind of major surprise, that any of those teams are good enough to be competitive for the playoffs. So I would say if it's not Baltimore, then it's no one. But I would be floored if a healthy, competitive Cincinnati Bengals team played 4 primetime games this year.
Yeah.
I would be shocked.
We'll see. We're going to talk more about the schedule coming up next. I wanted to do a quick little mid-May prediction based on how we see the season going. I wanted to talk about some of our favorite schedule release videos and maybe some more here. So we're going to take a short break. ESPN 1410, Wing AM. Again, don't know if it's on the radio. Chatterbox Sports, Off the Bench. We will be right back. Welcome on back. Final segment for the radio that might not have a radio today. But nonetheless, we're going to take breaks just in case. Bengals schedule out. NFL schedule out. We went over the holiday schedule, and I think this year for the NFL, obviously as it is most years, I happen to love it. I mean, I think that those primetime games. What's the opener this year? The
Eagles Cowboys.
I think that's right. So I think. Listen, the NFL schedule release thing. I know we know the opponents. I do enjoy the videos. Like I enjoy making it almost like its own little holiday, having everybody release their dates and their times in those fun little videos. And speaking of which, before we go back to the Bengals, any videos stand out to you yesterday regarding the schedule release stuff? I got a couple, so I'll go first. Obviously, there was one that had to be taken down.
That's right, the Colts.
Shout out to the Colts. That was a good one.
They apologized to Tyreek Hill's agent, the Dolphins, and Microsoft.
Okay. And Microsoft.
Well, right. They said they took it down because they infringed on Microsoft's Minecraft copyright laws.
That's very, very funny.
And then they just also apologized to Tyreek Hill.
That's very funny. Tyreek Hill. I like the Jaguars' TikTok schedule release. It's just the Sabrina Carpenter Juno position.
Yes, that was very funny.
I thought that was funny. I thought the Bengals was funny. I know you hated the Bengals, but I thought that was funny.
I hate them all. I think this is the dumbest thing we do.
What?
Oh, I think it's distantly the dumbest thing we do. Yeah, every NFL team should tweet out a screenshot of the 18 games in order at midnight. And then we can look at them.
Come on.
That's it.
The Chargers did a fun Minecraft one. I like the Minecraft
They're the only
one.
team I search out every year.
The Chargers do.
I search
do
them
right
out every year.
The
worst one I think was the Cardinals. Or I actually didn't watch it, but the Cardinals allowed Mac Wilson, their linebacker, to write a debut rap song, I believe.
Yeah,
for their schedule release. I think it was called 18 weeks, 18 bars, 18 something. It was Mac Wilson doing a rap.
I don't know if we can play it. I don't think we can. But the Broncos one where the sheep were throwing children off.
I didn't see that one.
You didn't see that one? So we'll see. I'll see how you like it. I'm going to play it for Jacob just right here.
Okay, this is that we should show videos on the show.
I think.
Disclaimer, no kids or sheep were harmed in the making of this
So
video.
basically they announced their schedule with children on the sheep.
I like that.
And then they threw them off.
Okay, that's fun.
So that was a good one.
That's fun.
I enjoyed that one.
The teams that should be punished by the league, fined heavily. Any team that just scooped AI slop and put it on the plate and slid it in front of us.
I agree.
You're a social media team with full-time employees. And this is supposed to be one of the biggest releases you have all year, and you just grok it?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's crap.
Oh, yeah. The Ravens did a play on Severance.
Yeah,
that was awesome.
I was going to say that was my favorite.
That was your favorite?
Yeah.
Ben Stiller retweeted it.
Really?
Yeah, so I think he had something to do with it.
There was a couple other good ones that I enjoyed, but I thought everybody did a decent job this year. I thought it was funny. There was one I had in my brain, and I'm definitely forgetting right now.
I thought the Titans one was pretty funny.
What was the Titans one?
The schedule Rizzy. It's the it's basically a play on what is it like when you have a medical issue, you see those commercials where it's like schedule Rizzy can help you.
Oh yeah.
And it lists a bunch of different like side effects that are really funny, and overall the commercial was pretty great. I suggest watching that one. I might actually be able to pull that one up because I don't think that one has any copyright. So
it was fun. I like it. I know Jacob doesn't like it. I like it. I think it's a cute little thing to do.
I think it's the NFL flexing on America, just how much control they have. I think that's all it is.
I mean, that's definitely part of it. I mean, that's definitely they make a random Wednesday in May the biggest day of the year.
People forget, like 5 years ago, the draft was on one day.
Yeah.
It started at noon on Saturday. We were done by noon on Sunday.
That's crazy.
Like, they are just doing whatever. Speaking of, while we're on the NFL trying to take a stranglehold on the world and the country. Oh, Casey, now that you have this, pull this up. Let's take a look. This is the medical commercial?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which team was it? Titans?
The Titans. Yeah.
Love it.
Not knowing who and when your team is playing this season, life can lose its luster. For millions of fans suffering from football season withdrawal, or FSW, even relationships can lose their spark. But now there's Schedule Rizzy, a once-a-season schedule fix that cures FSW.
Football is everything. Schedule Rizzy.
With Schedule Rizzy, you can live your season to the fullest. 18 beautiful weeks, marked, circled, counted down.
I was feeling down.
Are the symptoms going to be the schedule?
Rizzy turned it all around.
Consult Tennessee Titans tickets before taking Schedule Rizzy. Side effects include altitude sickness, gridlock, hand, foot, and mouth disease, imposter syndrome, heat stroke, crapping out, melancholy, general malaise, jet lag, jock itch, diarrhea, heartburn, nausea, and slurred speech.
Now my future's bright. With Schedule Rizzy, I see the light. Football is everything.
Thanks, Schedule Rizzy.
Thanks, Schedule Rizzy.
I got my Schedule Rizzy.
Ask today if Schedule Rizzy is right for you.
I like that. I like that.
That was terrible. That was terrible.
Oh, Jacob hates fun.
Yes, I do. But regardless of that, the NFL talking about trying to take another day on the calendar, trying to monopolize it for themselves. I've seen a lot of people pushing for an NFL draft lottery.
Okay.
Mike Greenberg brought it up on Get Up. Adam Schefter tweeted out how fun it would be. Ari Meirov has quote tweeted some suggestions for how you might be able to do it. And all of them have the same point. It's worked to prevent tanking in the NBA. We got to get rid of tanking in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
What?
Yeah, I mean...
Joe Milton went 21 of 28 last year against the Bills in Week 18 to cost the Patriots the first pick and drop them to fourth. The year before that, Davis Mills in Houston threw a Hail Mary with 2 seconds left to drop them from 1 to 2 and cost them who everyone had as the consensus number 1 pick, Bryce Young.
Yep.
Tanking could not be less of an issue in the NFL.
I mean, if you remember the Giants last year, I mean, what's his
Drew
name?
Lock had the 5th best quarterback game of all time.
Drew Lock put on a clinic to give the Bengals a chance at the playoffs.
It's insane. We want to fix something that is damn near perfect.
Yeah.
I don't know how many perfect things we have in sports. The NFL draft and the ability to rebuild on the fly and get back to contention quickly is one of the best systems we have in sports.
I agree.
The number 1 pick, or the number 1 odds, the worst record in the NBA, has picked 5th 4 years in a row.
Yep.
And what has that done for those teams? Do you think the Jazz won 15 games this year on purpose, or do you think they suck? Like, I don't think they're tanking because they're bad. Do you think the Giants picked top 3 this year because they wanted to, or because they had Tommy DeVito and Drew Lock playing quarterback?
Correct.
These teams aren't trying to lose.
It's a different world in the NFL too. Everybody has it's less money guaranteed.
Contracts aren't guaranteed.
It's less money guaranteed. Coaches are fighting for their lives
Correct.
every week. You have a shorter leash.
Absolutely.
It's a win now league. If you're a coach on a team that doesn't make the playoffs 4 years in a row, you're probably fired.
Unless you're probably Zach Taylor.
Unless you're Zach Taylor. Zach Taylor's
He'll
here
be
for life. But yeah, I mean the draft lottery system.
It's nonsense.
It's great for the other sports. NBA, like those teams actively. They actively tank.
Wait,
there are teams in the NBA that legit don't play starters.
Correct.
For months on end, for no reason.
So we want to adopt something that didn't fix the problem in the NBA.
Yeah.
To address a problem that doesn't exist in the NFL.
Yeah.
All it leads me to believe is that it would separate the haves and the have-nots in the NFL to a level of which we've never seen before.
Yep. Before we end the radio segment today, I wanted to do an early May Bengals prediction. We'll do a 2-3 vote based on what we think how this season's going to play out.
I love it.
I'm curious to see what you guys do here. All right, so we're going to start, Casey, with you for Week 1, Bengals-Browns in Cleveland, September 7th.
Bengals-Browns, that is going to be a win.
That is a loss.
Oh, no.
That's one of the easiest predictions I have on the schedule.
I'm going to go loss, too. 0-1. The Bengals start 0-1. Jaguars at home, Casey McAllister.
That is my first loss.
W.
Loss. 0-2. Bengals at Vikings.
W.
I'm going to say W on that one.
W.
The Bengals are 1-2 to start again. Bengals in Denver, 8:15.
Fat L.
Fat L.
I would have said win.
Convincing loss.
I would have said win. The Bengals are 1-3 based on our prediction. The Lions at home.
Win.
Win.
I would have said loss on that one. All right, 2-3. The Bengals go to Lambeau Field.
Win.
I'm going to say loss.
I'm going to say loss too.
2-4. The Steelers come to town.
Loss.
Win.
I'm going to say win. 3-4. Jets come to town.
Win.
Win.
Win. 4-4. Bears come to town.
Loss.
Win.
Loss.
Wow, big game. 4-5. Steelers on the road.
Win.
Win.
Win. 5-5. Patriots come to town.
Win.
Win.
Win. 6-5. Ravens Thanksgiving.
Loss.
Loss.
I guess loss, yeah.
6-6. Bills on the road.
Loss.
Win.
I'm going to say we win. I think we own Buffalo. 7-6. The Ravens at home.
Loss.
Win.
Loss. 7-7. Not good.
Well, your predictions make no sense. You're ranking terrible teams over good teams. You're giving us wins against playoff teams and losses against non-playoff
Well,
teams.
I'm doing it by feel. Dolphins on the road.
Win.
Win.
Yeah, win.
And I'm going to say they beat the Cardinals. And I imagine you two would as well.
Yep, and then
Yeah.
lose to the Browns.
Oh, no. Lose to the Browns?
So
Well, I
good.
have us winning games against non-playoff teams where we're not playing starters then.
Oh, okay.
We're
All
not
right.
losing to the Steelers with Kenny Pickett.
They go 10-7 in our prediction.
Yeah,
10-7.
I have the Bengals at 12-5, not winning the division. 12-5, first wild card team. 2 of those 5 losses are against Baltimore, and you're the top wild card team.
Okay.
That's my guess. Baltimore goes 13-4.
That would stink. That would stink.
I think Baltimore might go like 15-2.
Really?
Baltimore's schedule is very nice. I'll pull it up here just briefly. I won't go through every game, but their schedule is setting us up for failure. It seems after that first stretch of games, they get very, very easy for them. They start off week 1 against, obviously, Buffalo in primetime. They have Kansas City in week 4. They have the Lions in week 3. After those first 4 weeks, Houston, Rams, Bears, Dolphins, Vikings, Browns, Jets, Steelers, Patriots.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. They're going to be able to rip off 14, 15 wins.
Oh, boy.
If they stay healthy.
Oh, boy.
I think that the number for the Bengals to win the division is 12-5 to have a chance.
I think there's a shot. My thing with the Bengals, it literally all depends on how they start that season.
Yeah.
I think we had them 1-2. If they start 2-1 or 3-0, they win the division. I stand by that.
I think they pretty clearly lose that Browns game. Unless there's some kind of drastic organizational change over the last 2 years. I think Jacksonville's just god-awful. So there's no worry in my mind there. And then I don't think J.J. McCarthy can play quarterback in college, much less at the NFL level.
I agree. Are you shocked at the number of primetime games that the Atlanta Falcons got at 5?
I was. I thought that was a little bit bizarre, but also I get it.
Yeah.
I think they're fun. I think their offense is fun. Think about the games they were in primetime last year. They won in 2 overtime buzzer beaters.
Yeah.
This team is an exciting team, even if they do end up 9-8. They're going to have 9 exciting wins and probably 5 exciting losses. So I think it's a safe bet for them. I think the more surprising thing is all the way down there at 3 is the Houston Texans.
Yeah.
I thought C.J. Stroud, Nico Collins, D'Amico Ryan's playoff team the last 2 years. I thought they would be closer at least to the middle.
How much do you think it is when a team plays in primetime the year before and they have a bunch of stinkers like the Jets did? And
that probably comes into play.
I was going to say, I think that comes into play, but that's why I'm kind of shocked that the Bengals don't have the most.
I know.
And
the way they put the Bengals schedule together didn't exactly give them a lot of opportunities to flex late.
Yeah.
You could have just thrown Arizona in week 2 or 3 and put one of those NFC North teams at the back half and then had a perfect flex opportunity.
Yeah. The Chiefs lead with 7, obviously. The Dallas.
Patrick Mahomes will never see his family again. This is Thanksgiving and Christmas for the 2nd year in a row.
Yeah.
He will never see his family again.
The Chiefs.
Dak Prescott hasn't spent Thanksgiving with his family since the Obama administration.
That's crazy. The Cowboys come in second at 6, and then there's a bunch of teams that have 5. The Bengals not included, but are included are the Los Angeles Chargers, the Miami Dolphins, the San Francisco 49ers, and the Washington Commanders, all with 5. The Bengals
I'm
not
seeing
with
those
5.
teams you just read have 4.
They had 4?
Yes.
I'm seeing
the teams with 5 are the Bills, the Falcons, the Niners, and the Packers, and the Lions.
Okay.
And then 4 is Ravens, Broncos, Bears, Bengals, Dolphins, Chargers, Steelers, Commanders, Rams, Vikings, Buccaneers.
Okay. All right. That's your schedule. Again.
Did you know they could do no primetime games?
What do you mean?
I thought everyone got a Thursday night game.
I thought so as well. Who didn't get one?
Browns, Saints, Titans.
No primetime games?
No primetime games.
For Browns, Saints, Titans.
Titans shocks me.
Are all of those teams Browns are overseas. They get an overseas game. Titans didn't, though.
Saints didn't.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Titans shocks me. How do you not throw Cam Ward in one primetime game?
Yeah, that's wild.
Just throw him a bone in Thursday Night Football like week 2.
Also, they've always done that. I feel like the Titans and the Jaguars own Thursday Night Football.
I agree.
So
Make Thursday Night Football bad again.
Yeah, I agree.
It's
the worst
too good.
The worst of the worst. The Bengals should never play on Thursday night.
No.
The Chiefs should never play on Thursday night.
It should just be perennially Russell Wilson versus Matt Ryan.
Yes.
Just whoever.
Yes.
Every time I think of Thursday Night Football on Prime, it's just that Colts-Broncos game that was, I clawed my eyes out.
Yeah.
It was disgusting.
God, I love Thursday night. I've been waiting all night for Thursday night.
We did have some breaking NFL news.
Okay.
I put it in the chat earlier in the show. It's something I think a lot of fans have been waiting on for a while, and if you weren't waiting on it, you might have just not known you were waiting on it, because it's as fun as you could possibly hope for. NFL owners will discuss a resolution at next week's league meeting that will allow NFL players to participate for the flag football teams of their country in the 2028 Olympics.
Oh, wow. So they're allowing it.
They're voting to allow it. It's not allowed yet.
I assume they would allow it.
I hope so.
I think they're going to allow it. If that's the case, we'll dominate.
It would be so much fun to watch.
I wonder how that works financially. Like, they just do it for the love of the game, right? So that
you get bonuses if you win and stuff.
Do you?
Yeah.
I know the medal. Like, each medal, you get X amount of dollars. Like, I know, like, you win like a $50,000 or $100,000 if you win gold or whatever. You get X amount, but I don't know how that works for team sports. Interesting, though. All right. I'm hoping that they allow it.
I do think there's an interesting discussion to be had.
And they'd be allowed to play because it wouldn't be during the season, obviously.
I think there's an interesting discussion to be had about, do you take the best players or do you think about flag football?
Do I take the best players?
Because you jump in, you're right. All right, who's the best players in football? You're like, all right, I'll take Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow to play quarterback. No, it's pretty clearly Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, that's
you're playing flag football.
That's a good point.
Like, you're going wide receivers. It's like, I love A.J. Brown, big body, run straight line. I'm taking Jamar and CeeDee Lamb, Tyreek Hill, short, shifty guys.
Yeah.
There's no physicality.
Yeah.
Running back, that's CMC or Alvin Kamara.
I still think
you have no even consideration for Derrick Henry.
But what if you use Derrick Henry and he just shoves you down anyway?
That's fair.
I feel like I feel like the stiff arm still plays.
That's fair. I guess he probably does have longer arms than the Peruvian flag football team, so he can just kind of hold him out there like you do with your little nephew.
Yeah. The Peruvian puff pepper.
Yeah.
Remember that?
No, I don't.
That's from Drake and Josh. Shout out to Drake and Josh. That's the end of our radio show. ESPN 1410 Wing AM. We're going to stay with you on YouTube side.
You didn't think you'd get a Drake and Josh shout out today?
No, I don't think I certainly didn't think I'd get that. And certainly this chat has no idea what I'm talking about. ESPN 1410 Wing AM, Chatterbox Sports, Off the Bench, Elliot, Jacob, Casey. We will see you tomorrow. Boom, boom, ba boom, 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 ba boom, 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 boom. Casey, did you think the red season would end this early?
Yeah,
Well,
you probably did.
I did.
I mean, it's actually earlier than I think last year.
Is it really?
I wouldn't be shocked because I think we played because remember we played tough teams during that May stretch.
We did.
We played our easiest schedule in May and lost every game. So tough place to be if you're an old Reds fan like me. But Jacob, you had something.
I did. Our Buckeyes are back in the news.
Oh boy.
And since you bleed scarlet and gray,
I
if
do.
I cut that flesh open, it would be Buckeyes coming out.
That's right.
The Ohio representatives are getting back in the courtroom. to try to legislate for Ohio State football. If teams are both ranked in the top 10, there was a bill proposed that game could not be kicked off in the mornings. No noon kickoffs for 2 AP top 10 teams. That bill is being proposed in the Ohio State Senate.
No way. Oh, I love that.
Love it.
That's wild that you could just go and do that. That certainly won't pass. You think that'll pass?
It costs the state of Ohio a lot of money.
Really?
Yeah.
That would be awesome.
It also screws Ohio State in recruiting.
You hate playing at noon more than anything.
Correct. It handicaps your team. When you sign a home and home, Ohio State and Texas, the thought process is we're going to play 2 elite games.
Yeah.
When Ohio State goes to Texas in 2026, are we wondering when that game's going to be?
Yeah.
I guarantee you that game's at 7:30, maybe 8:30.
Yeah.
They got to play at noon in Columbus?
What if we change our time zones to align with the West Coast?
Best time zone by a mile, Central.
Okay, what if we do Central?
The whole country should be Central.
We'll
Screw
take
the West Coast.
We'll take Central, and that way
and give them Eastern.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. They get Eastern, and we get Central. I don't mind the big noon thing. Like I know Ohio State fans get upset about it. I only mind it when it's like if you're playing consistently good games. Like the best game of the football year happens at noon on a Saturday. And that's Ohio State, Michigan. At some point,
that's the only one that should.
But I'm saying if that's the best one, and you're still going to have others that are not as good, but definitely going to get a lot of ratings also at noon. It doesn't make sense to me. I feel like you should have this special game at noon by itself, all alone. That's the only one anybody's ever watching. And then you have Texas. I feel like those games should just be at night. I don't know why the Penn State game should have been at night. And it doesn't make a whole lot of sense why, other than the fact that Fox likes it where it has it.
It's the only way they can tell themselves they have a primetime slot.
Yeah.
That's pretty simple. And hopefully Fox, gets the short end of the stick in the next TV deal. Hopefully none of the conferences extend them an olive branch and give them broadcasts.
That's fair. I was looking as the PGA Championship is underway right now at Quail Hollow. I was going to look up the leaderboard right now. Who's winning, because I actually... So Fox. I don't know who this Fox guy is. Ryan Fox. Never heard of him before. He leads the pack with... is that Alex Noren? Yeah, Alex Noren at 5 under par. Is that Luke Donald? God, Luke Donald's 100 years old, isn't he? Luke Donald's 47 years old. He is in second place. Sole second place at 4 under par. JT Post and Matt Fitzpatrick at 3 under. I was trying to find our guy Rory. I don't know where Rory's at. But anyway, I saw this clip heading into the tournament, and I agree with Rory McIlroy. I don't agree with him a lot. When Bryson came out after that Masters on Sunday and said, Rory didn't talk to me all day, I wanted to be friends, and that's not how I operate, I was like, that's kind of weird that Rory doesn't talk. But then Rory explains it, and he's like, yeah, I just wanted to focus on winning. That's the right answer. I mean, listen to this clip right here, and I actually agree with Rory. Maybe he's locked in. Maybe he's going to win this one too. But Bryson is, I feel like, definitely in the wrong now that I hear Rory talk about it.
I don't know what he was expecting. We're trying to win the Masters. I'm not going to try to be his best mate out there. Everyone approaches the game different ways. I was focused on myself and what I needed to do. And that's really all that it was. It wasn't anything against him or against it. Just I felt that's what I needed to do to try to get the best out of myself that day.
Tiger Woods, when he was in his prime, locked in.
Yeah.
I mean, he locked in. That's what Rory did, Sunday at the Masters. Obviously, he almost choked it away, but he won. He's a Masters champ. So I respect Rory for that answer. That's the correct answer.
This whole ordeal reminds me why I hate both of those golfers so much. I mean, I hate both of them so much. Bryson, it doesn't matter. He's trying to win a championship.
Yeah.
Who cares if he doesn't talk to you?
You think
Rory, talk to him. You're playing 4 hours of golf together.
Yeah, I 100% affected Bryson's play that day.
100%.
It's what, oh my God, he's not talking to me.
And I don't want Rory, and Rory can sit there all he wants and say, it was just locked in. He was doing it to affect Bryson's game as well, which is fine.
Gamesmanship.
Man, it's annoying.
Nothing wrong with some gamesmanship there. I like it. I like that response by Rory. Another tweet I saw yesterday.
He's such a bum.
Rory?
Yeah.
Another tweet I saw yesterday, speaking of bum, I saw this, and like you talk about like why I don't like certain people. This person is our only Cy Young winner, and he still makes it about himself. Everything that happens in this world, Trevor Bauer makes it about himself. This is the tweet he had regarding Pete Rose and Shoeless Joe being reinstated. So since Pete is welcome back now, does that go for everyone who has been blackballed? Or do you actually have to be guilty of something to qualify for that? Trevor, brother, you're playing in a country where I don't know where you're at, and you're bad. Like, I hate to say it, you don't got it anymore. I think if you were good enough, you would be back. I truly do believe that. I think if you were good enough, some major league team, some pirate organization-esque would take on Trevor Bauer's contract for a vet minimum deal. I do believe that. But the fact that he constantly makes every little thing about himself is absolutely wild to me. I mean, just give it up. I mean, just absolutely just give it up. Focus on your YouTube channel and try to be the greatest YouTuber that's ever walked the planet. But God, I'm tired of this guy.
Shout out that one Barstool guy for getting the hit off of him.
Shout out to Marty Mush. Marty Mush absolutely ripped a rocket off of a professional, so-called professional baseball player. How mad does it make you that he's our Cy Young winner?
Not at all.
Not mad at all?
Not mad at all. I would love him back on the Reds.
It makes me mad. It makes me mad because I don't.
He was awesome that year. I loved him.
I loved him that year, but now it's like I don't like his personality. I think he's a loser.
I would rather have someone be really good and not like their personality than have like nice guy Nick Martinez.
You're right. I mean, that's probably the right take. But I just think that at some point, this guy's a clown.
Would you rather have Andy Dalton, certified nice guy?
No, I would not.
Or three-time MVP Aaron Rodgers?
Honestly, it doesn't even matter what you say. Whatever name you were going to say, I wasn't going to say Andy Dalton. With all due respect to my sweet prince, Andy
Hall of Famer
Dalton.
one day. If you did just regular season for the first 6 seasons when he was slightly better than Peyton Manning based on that one graphic.
Yeah. TCU Hall of Fame?
I think he's already in.
Is he?
I think so. We won a Rose Bowl. He better be in.
Okay. All right. I was just making sure.
He'll be in the Ring of Honor.
Yeah.
For sure. Right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of counting numbers.
I saw this yesterday too. I wanted to check this out before the show ended. I saw Alexis Diaz. His command wasn't very good yesterday. And I wanted to.
Think we'll see him again soon?
Alexis Diaz. I don't like to be right about a lot of things, but I was right about Alexis Diaz just completely and utterly not having it. He did get the loss yesterday. Let's see what he did. It might have been not as terrible as I'm making it out to be fair to him.
No. You're exaggerating something to prove your point, right? Never.
Let's see. Anything? It's not going to tell me the game. Oh, yeah. He gave up 8 earned runs.
So he stinks.
He's given up 8 earned runs in his last 6 innings. I don't know how many was. Yeah, he gave up 5 earned runs. No, he gave up 6 earned runs. Oh well, I don't care. Alexis Diaz, I love you. Thank you very much for your service. Your bobblehead's still over here, I think, right? Poor guy.
It might be.
Poor guy.
It might be.
I'm at a point now where the Reds, like I texted my buddies, like I'm at a point where I no longer care.
Oh yeah.
Is that a bad place to be?
It's the worst place to be, sports fan.
Like I don't care.
Yeah, apathy is distantly the worst thing that could happen to sports fans.
We're
almost there as a city, I think.
I turned off the game yesterday. I'm like, I mean, I have no interest in what happens.
Yeah, we left early. We left like bottom of the 8th.
God, that sucks. All we want is a good team. And Jacob,
not even, man.
Jacob said it at the beginning of the show too. Fans are going to show up eventually for a team that is consistently good. They will. I do believe that.
If you even put together a halfway decent product, I think at least on the weekends the city would show out.
Well, I think every weekend game would be a sellout if the team was good.
That's what I mean, man. And that's why like nights like last night hurt that much more. You finally get 40,000 people in there.
Yeah.
You just piss down your leg for 9 innings.
Yeah. I mean, it's flat out embarrassing. That effort yesterday was woeful. Good luck to him today at 12:40 because I think it's a joke.
One last thing I want to point out before we jump off, just a slight Bengals news. I guess it's not really Bengals news, but people are tying it into the Bengals. Yesterday, The Baltimore Ravens extended Derrick Henry, 2-year contract, $30 million,
saw this.
$15 million a year. A lot of people, some most notably, some big Fox personalities, quote tweeting it, saying, "Wow, some franchises willing to commit to guys on the wrong side of 30 that produce at a consistent rate." Elliot, can you tell me the difference between a 2-year, $15 million a year contract and a 3-year, $30 million a year contract?
Here's what I would say. I have a better question for you. Why are you locked in on the years? Bengals wanted to get a 2-year deal
I know.
They wanted to get the 2-year deal done. They wanted that.
They offered it.
They proposed it. He wants
the deal Trey wants is $100 million more than that.
It's $100 million. It's not. I saw that tweet and I laughed.
It's not even close.
I laughed out loud because that's a joke. Trey Hendrickson, no disrespect, but I mean, you're gonna do whatever you do, and you're gonna cry and want more money. I understand where you're coming from. Everybody wants to be a millionaire, but the fact of the matter is, Derrick Henry is a very, very elite running back, and he's, I would say, getting what he's worth. Like that's what a running back's worth in today's market. 2 years. Trey Hendrickson's trying to get what he's worth, but for a longer deal than that, and for substantially more money. It's like it's. I mean, that's comparing apples to that speaker over here.
Yes.
So that was the silliest tweet I've ever seen. How did he get ratioed?
I saw it mostly through quote tweets.
Okay, that's how I saw it too. That's a joke.
It was Kevin Wildes, right?
That's an absolute joke. But nonetheless, that's it. Anything closing thoughts, Casey Rue?
No closing thoughts.
Red's beating you down.
Reds are beating me down. Bengals are beating me down.
FCC's winning?
FCC.
Come on. I'm going tomorrow night to see him.
I am too.
You're both not going to see them.
Yes,
though.
we are.
Yeah, we are, dude.
The historical TQL Stadium.
They're going to be playing.
Right by the historic The Pitch.
That's right.
Home of the Mike Ackley.
That's right. We will be there in person to watch FC Cincinnati play a game.
Against Brantley Gilbert.
And
the Zach Brown Band.
Yes. I'll be on the field. I'll be touching the field probably.
You'll be on the pitch?
I might.
Grab some turf.
I might score a goal.
Bring a knife, cut out a square of turf, put it in your pocket.
Yeah. All right, that's it. Chatterbox Sports Off the Bench. Love you all very much. We'll be back tomorrow.